Hey you! You're watching a clip from the DynamiteGizmo podcast. This is not the full episode, but if you want to see the full episode, make sure to click the link in the description. And remember, like, comment, subscribe. Do it now! Here's the clip. I was watching him... Whoops. Ah, shit. I was watching him on Ariel Helwani the other day. And you know I'm a big fan of Alex Pereira, as is everybody. Like, how could you not be? But I was watching him on Ariel Helwani the other day, and I was like... God damn it. Like, the UFC should be very fortunate to have this motherfucker in there. He joins the UFC in 2021, and by his fourth fight in the UFC, he's already claiming the middleweight title over Ciryl Adesanya after beating him twice in Glory Kickboxing. Then he loses the belt back against Ciryl, giving us one of the greatest comeback moments in UFC history. Moves up to light heavyweight, beats Jan Blachowicz, then claims the vacant title against Jiri in 2023. Then in 2024, goes on a massive run, beats Jamal Hill at UFC 300, beats Jiri again, then beats Khalil Roundtree, gets Fighter of the Year. 2025, loses the title to Ankh early in the year, then reclaims it at the end of the year. And now, he's moving up to heavyweight to try to claim a third title. The first and only fighter in UFC history to ever claim 3 titles in 3 different divisions. And I'm just going to say it now. He is absolutely going to beat the ever-living shit out of Ciryl Gane. There is no goddamn doubt in my motherfucking mind. And I know, it would be great to see Tom Aspinall get his revenge on Ciryl Gane. Of course, we all want that. But if you really think about it, or at least when I think about it, I'd rather see Ciryl get absolutely smashed by Alex Pereira. I don't want Ciryl Gane walking out of another one of these unscathed. I want to see him finally get what's coming to him. And who better to do that than Alex Pereira? Because I've had enough of this. Ciryl Gane has had 5 title opportunities, and yeah, I understand why. If I'm in the UFC, I probably do the same thing, or if I am the UFC, I should say, I would probably do the same thing, or I definitely would do the same thing. There's not a lot of other options, but at the same time, Alex versus Tom is the better fight. That it just is the better fight than Tom versus Ciryl. Even though we'd want to see Ciryl get his fucking ass smashed by Tom Aspinall so he can get his revenge. Alex versus Tom is just a better fight. And that's the one that people would actually want. Okay, and the majority of people are the people outside of the UFC who don't care about the UFC and who don't know the beef or the eye poke situation. Now, it does get a little interesting because Alex is getting older. He's 38 years old. He doesn't have a ton of time left in the sport. But somehow, he still looks incredible. Still performs like a prime champion. And recently, like I said, he was on Ariel Helwani. He announced that he signed another 8-fight deal with the UFC. Now, obviously, there's no guarantee he fights all 8. But think about it this way for a second. If he fights 3 times a year, that's about 3 more years. If he fights 2 times a year, that's 4 more years. But again, he'll be 42 at that point. That's not just a little bit old. That's pretty fucking old for MMA. Currently, the oldest active fighter in the UFC is 41 years old. But with Alex, it honestly wouldn't surprise me if he makes it that far to 42. Because if anybody's going to do it, it would be Alex Pereira. But not only is he winning, he's doing it in the most entertaining way possible. He's never won by submission. Only 2 decision wins. Everything else, stripe violence. Now let's talk about what this opens up. Jiri is fighting Olberg next month for the vacant light heavyweight title, as we know. And we already know Jiri wants that third fight with Alex. That's been on his mind for a while now. Oh, shit. That's why he was in the crowd. Emotional. Tearing up when Alex won back in October. And I'll say it right now. I think Jiri wins that title. So now picture this timeline. Alex beats Ciryl, moves up to heavyweight, potentially beats Aspinall. Now you've got heavyweight champion Alex Pereira versus light heavyweight champion Jiri Prochazka. That is a massive fight in every sense. Now look, I love Aspinall. Of course. You know I do. Everyone, well, not everyone does. Actually, a lot of people hate Aspinall, and it's very unfortunate. I wanted him to stay on top for a long time. But he keeps getting shafted. And now, with the eye injuries, even though he says he's recovering and getting back into training, we don't really know how that's going to affect him. So yeah, I want to see Aspinall versus Pereira. But do I want Aspinall to win? At least at this point, I don't know. I don't know if I want him to win. And by I don't know, I want to say I don't want him to win. And that really pains me to say, because Pereira's legacy, potentially, right now, is insane. If Alex goes out there and beats Ciryl Gane and then beats Aspinall, becomes a 3-division champ, then maybe he gets a shot at Jon Jones. Because, let's be real here. They're both older. That's a fight that actually makes sense to make sooner rather than later. And Jon is still signed to the UFC. And the UFC hasn't released him. Even though he was on Instagram acting like he wanted to. Because they can't risk losing him. Especially with other promotions ready to throw insane money at him the second he's available. And you know I'm specifically talking about most valuable promotions. I kind of don't like that it's called most valuable promotions, because I was talking about Michael Venom Page. And his nickname is MVP. Well, his nickname is Venom, but it's MVP. All right, then you got most valuable promotions, which is also MVP. So if you're talking about both people, organizations in the same thing, they're going to get confused. But that's besides the point. Where was I? Alex Pereira. Oh, Jon Jones. If the UFC were to release him, and if most valuable promotions were to try to sign him, of course Jon Jones would take that opportunity, because he would get butt tons of money. So much money. So again, imagine this. Alex beats Ciryl, then he beats Tom, then he fights Jon Jones, then eventually would fight Jiri after Jiri defends the light heavyweight title multiple times, then moves up to heavyweight. You can't get any more legendary than that. Now, obviously, that all depends on Alex continuing to win. And if there's one fight in that stretch that's the toughest, it's probably Jon Jones. But even then, Jon has that arthritis issue. And that could play a huge factor. Or maybe not. Maybe Jon Jones is just that good. And it doesn't matter if he has arthritis or not. You know he can't run, but he can still fight. So if Pereira does beat Gane and Aspinall, would you rather see him fight Jon Jones next or run it back with Jiri for that super fight? I mean, I feel like at some point it would be both of them, but we don't know for sure.
Tap here to watch the full episode of the DynamiteGizmo podcast.